Do you love God? I mean, really love God? How much? With everything? Are you sure? Jesus said, love God completely. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew 22:37 through 38. Love God completely. Verse 37, Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment." We have several examples where Jesus was asked what was most important, and he responded with this. In fact, he said that the entire law and all of the prophets hinge on two things: loving God with everything and loving your neighbor as yourself. I'm old enough to remember this commercial about Got Milk, and it would show these people with a milk mustache because when you drink milk and it gets messy, you show the signs of it. So the question that I want to ask today is, got love? It's easy to say that we love God. It's easy to say that we love people. But Jesus said that we must love God completely, with everything, with our heart, with our emotions, with our mind, with our thoughts, with our soul, our spirit, our strength, with everything in our life. We are to love God. And what does that love actually look like? Well, I want to read from 1 John 5, the first 3 verses of that chapter. It says that everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ has become a child of God. And everyone who loves the Father loves his children too. Did you get that? Everyone who loves the Father loves his children too. Verse 2, we know we love God's children if we love God and obey his commandments. Loving God means keeping his commandments. And his commandments are not burdensome. It's not hard to do, is what this is saying. It's not some weight that you have to carry. But you see the connection here. Everyone who loves the Father loves his children too. And we know that we love God's children if we love God and obey his commandments. So these two things fit together. They're like two sides of the same coin. You can't love God and not love people. And you can't really love people without loving God completely. And we know that we love God because we love people. And we keep his commandments. What does keeping his commandments look like? Well, Jesus said to follow him, we must deny ourselves. We must love God completely with everything. Paul talks about this a lot in Romans, and we're going to read a part of Romans 8, verses 6 through 9, where he says, "So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace. For the sinful nature is always hostile to God. It never did obey God's laws, and it never will. That's why those who are still under the control of their sinful nature can never please God. But you are not controlled by your sinful nature. You are controlled by the Spirit if you have the Spirit of God living in you. And remember that those who do not have the Spirit of Christ living in them do not belong to them, or do not belong to him at all." Our sinful nature doesn't love God, can't love God. And we see the evidence of God's love as we're able to love other people. And we see the evidence of God's love as we obey God's commandments. And his commandments aren't some kind of checklist or burden that we have to do. It is denying our own desires, our own selfishness, our own need to be right. It's not about evaluating others. It's about having the right relationship with God so that we can love him with our thoughts. We can love him with our emotions. We can love him with our very actions, everything in our life. Jesus said to love God completely. And we see the evidence of that in our obedience and in our love for others. Love God completely. That's what Jesus said. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Rita. Good morning, Amber. Thank you for checking in. Really appreciate you and everyone. I know not everyone watches this live. Some of you watch it later during the day. Really appreciate all the comments, the shares, the likes. And I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope that this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. So remember, follow Jesus today. Love first. And good morning, Sarah. I see you checking in. Have a great day.